Alright guys, in this video I'm going to go over the multiplication quiz study guide. So the first problem gives us 60 times 40 and then a range of 4 answers. Now we know, as we talked about in class, that we can take numbers that have 0 on the end and we can just multiply those first 2 digits that are not zeros together and then just add on the zeros to the answer we get. So in this case we have 6 and 4, so 6 times 4 we know is 24. And then we have 2 zeros, so we just add those zeros on, and then we add in our comma when we go back 3 places. 1, 2, 3, comma. So our answer should be 2,400, and in this case that would be C. All right, number 2 says, which products are greater than 30 times 7? Select the 2 correct answers. So again, in this case, you can just go through and actually solve each of these problems, and some of them are pretty obvious when you first look at them. So let's go to 300 times 7 first. Let's try that same trick we just talked about. 3 times 7 is 21, and then we have 2 zeros. We add those on, and we get 2,100. When we multiply together 3 times 7 up here, we get 21, and we add on those 2 zeros, we see that we end up with the exact same answer. So since the question is asking what products are greater than 2,100, we know that this can't be an answer because it's actually equal to it. So that would not be greater than. So let's move on to the next one. 4 times 7 is 28, and then we have 2 zeros. Add those on, and we end up with 2,800, and that answer is greater than 2,100, so that one should be checked off. Down here we have 2 times 8 is 16, and then we add our 2 zeros. We end up with 1,600. That is less than 2,100, so that cannot be the correct answer. And then for this one, let's underline 4 and 6. We know that is 24. And then we add 2 zeros. And 2,400 is greater than 2,100, so this is the other answer. So those are the 2 answers that are greater than 30 times 70. Okay, and number 3. 38 times 45. Now you are allowed to use any multiplication strategy that you want. In this case, I'm going to use the box method because it's the one that I like, and I think most students like that one. But remember, you can use any strategy you want. You should end up with the exact same answer no matter what strategy you use. So I'm going to create my box, and I'm going to split up my numbers. So first I have 38, so I'm going to make that 30 and 8. And 45, I'm going to make that 40 and 5, and then I'm going to go ahead and multiply across. So here we have 40 times 30. I know that 4 times 3 is 12, and then I add my 2 zeros, so I get 1,200 in the first box. Then in this box, I'm multiplying 8 times 40, and I know that 8 times 4 is 32, and I add 1 zero. So I get 320. In this box, I'm multiplying 5 times 30, and 5 times 3 is 15, and I add 1 zero, so I get 150. And then in this last box, I'm multiplying 5 times 8, and I get 40. Okay, so now I'm going to add up those 4 numbers I just created inside the box, and I'm going to line them up to make sure that the place values are lined up correctly, so that when I add them, it'll add correctly. And it should look like that. 0, 2 plus 5 is 7, and 7 plus 4 is 11. 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. And then bring down my 1, and my answer is 1,710. So my answer is B. All right, let's look on the back. Okay, part of a student's solution for 43 times 72 is shown below. 40 times 70, 40 times 2, 3 times 70. Which step should the student do next? So in this case, they're talking about partial products. So I'm going to set up my problem just like this. I'm going to set it up as if I were about to do the multiplication myself. And then I'm going to actually write out the partial product so that I can see which ones are missing. So first I start with my ones place, 2 times 3. And then 2 times, remember this 4 isn't just 4, it's 40 because it's in the tens place. So this would be 2 times 40. And then I go over, I'm done with this 2, so I cross it out and I move over to the 7. But remember, this isn't just 7, it's in the tens place, so it represents 70. So the next line should be 70 times 3, and then 70 times 40. So over here, I'm going to check to see which ones are missing. So 70 times 40 is right here. 70 times 3 is right there. 2 times 40 is right here. So the only one missing is 2 times 3. So that would be the next step. So that means my answer should be C. Okay, and the last one says, without doing any calculations, compare each product to 73 times 34. Write each expression in the column of the table that best describes it. So we can see that the 3 columns are labeled less than 73 times 34, equal to 73 times 34, and greater than 73 times 34. So you are supposed to categorize each of these sentences into its correct column. So let's just take it one by one. So we're working with 73 times 34. So if now we have 80 times 40, we can tell that 80 is larger than 73 and 40 is larger than 34. So if both numbers are rounded up, that means that the answer is going to be larger than the answer to the original problem. So we can assume that this problem, 80 times 40, is going to be greater than the answer to 73 times 34. So we've categorized that one, we'll cross it out. The next one, 75 times 35. If we look at the original problem, we can see that 75 is larger than 73 and 35 is larger than 34. So again, we can assume that the answer to this problem is going to be bigger than the answer to this problem. So I'm going to categorize that one in the same column and then cross it out. All right, so for this problem, we can see that 33 is 1 digit less than 34, and 74 is 1 digit more than 73. So although this number is 1 less than the 34, this number is actually 1 greater than the 73, so they actually balance each other out. So in this case, this problem is going to be equal to 73 times 34, since it's kind of like what we do with doubling and halving. If you raise one side by one number and lower the other side by one number, then they equal out and you end up with the same exact answer. So that one we are now finished with. So let's look at 87 times 30. So for 87, you're going up quite a bit from 73. That's actually 14 digits more on one side, and then on the other side you're going down 4 digits. So going up 14 on one side and down 4 on the other side. That does not balance out. And this 87, since that is 14 digits more, and the 30 is 4 digits less, that is unequal, and this should be greater. This should end up being greater because 87 is 14 whole digits above 73, and the 30 is only 4 less than, so that does not balance out. So that one's finished. 30 times 70, we should be able to tell right away that 70 is less than 73 and 30 is less than 34, so no matter what, that is going to be less than the original problem. And then 100 times 100 times 50. So this 100 is much bigger than 73. 50 is also much bigger than 34. So looking at this, we should automatically be able to tell that the answer or the product of this multiplication sentence is going to be much larger than the product of this multiplication sentence because both factors in the sentence are larger than the original factor. So this is also going to be greater than the original problem. So that is how you categorize those multiplication sentences without actually solving the problems. It's just about looking at the numbers that you have and comparing them to the original problem. All right, so I hope that this review was helpful, and let me know if you have any questions or if anything still isn't making sense to you. All right, good luck.